and my friends, so here I am. In a continuation, just based on what I put in the description and the title, and it goes back to the topic of goal setting and what your vocation is. I think what I've come across in the last 10 years, maybe more, this idea of discerning your call. I think one of the most common things I've come across in my circles anyway is this idea of what's the will of the divine, or if you're Christian, or if you're whatever the fill in the blank segment of the Christian population, what is the will of God? What is the divine will? And yeah, that's a big question. It's a tough one depending on how you look at it. And I think what people run into danger of is making a mountain out of a molehill. And part of it is as I'm reflecting on my vantage point. And n equals 1, something I've talked about in other videos. N equals 1 doesn't apply to dietary lifestyle or health. And health can take on multiple dimensions. But it's very easy, and I think I talked about it in the last live I did this morning. Very easy and dangerous to treat things to an existential level or degree. That sometimes we're waiting for that cosmic manifestation. And yet in the mundane or the seemingly trivial, that's where you might miss out. That's where you might miss that opportunity to respond to that call. And so oftentimes we miss what's right in front of us. And however you live that out, you live it out to the best of your ability. Because sometimes you think you're looking for something grandiose when it's probably something within the minuscule, within the tiny, and you just have your blinders on because you're waiting for something cosmic. This is the will I called you to live out. Well, what if it's like in my case, at least the way I respond is in the little things. Not everyone's cut out for looking at the little things, but at least for me, this is just how the divine works with me. Your N equals 1 will be different. Maybe I have to work something out so I can see the grandiose manifestation, however you want to describe it. But when I look at my own, I work it out. I work it out gradually. And this is something I've wrestled with in the last 13 years. Again, going back to my Bruce Lee callbacks, there was a magazine, Bruce Lee magazine, I came across in the late 90s, I think 96, 97. And hey there. Hey guys. Good to see you. Appreciate it. Thank you for the greeting, guys. Again, I'm not a fan of YouTube's shenanigans with the @ symbol and whatever alias. Can I donate? Well, if you guys want, I'll post my PayPal if you want to go that route. I'd appreciate it. And anyway, as far as navigating my call, as I said, I'm wrestling with this since 2012. Going back to the Bruce Lee quote. Sorry about that. 1997, 1998, I think, was when I first came across this phrase or this quote. I didn't know what I was practicing or doing would lead me to this. Meaning, what I was doing then, I didn't think would lead me to what I'm doing now. So I've been helping my friends out over the last 2 to 3 years. And it got some ideas flowing in my head. And the work is easy enough, so it's not like I'm being thrown into the wolves that heavily. And I get these little thoughts, these little bumps, these little trickles, these little ideas popping in my head. And then fast forward to my hospitalization last year. And, it was a lonely time, a lonely spot. I didn't know what to think. And so I started canvassing the various nurses. And yeah, were there some nurses easy on the eyes? Yep, there were. I'm just being honest. It helps. And, I asked them questions. How do you manage being a CNA? Because I noticed in certain hospital settings, they wear different scrubs. Like one would wear red, one would wear blue, and you can tell, I guess, depending on the color they wear, that would kind of tell the level of expertise, level of knowledge, level of pedigree, if you will. And so I started asking around, just get an idea of what these people would do to make ends meet. Some people have, some of these nurses have second jobs. So I said, okay, that's something I can possibly navigate. And on that, I've been doing this thing at my friends for the last 2, maybe 3 years now. And yeah, I don't know where I'll end up, like I said in the last stream, where I'll end up, but at least I have a way of, this is how I'm going to navigate it. And I'll take it in faith that at some point the grandiose reveal will be there. Whatever that happens to be, I don't know. I can't predict what that will look like. And I think that's what a lot of people are faced with, is that sometimes the easiest thing you can do is work with the cross you're given right in front of you. To borrow a Christian term, carry your cross, deny yourself. And that's part of it, is a sense of self-emptying, because that's kind of like going back to the phrase of gambling on yourself, betting on yourself, betting on this, betting on that. You won't know. And we talk about in the IT world, when I try to be IT, we talked about garbage in, garbage out. Well, if you don't put in the time and the effort, if you don't invest a bit of your energy or a good percentage of the energy in your efforts, you won't know what's going to come out of the other end. So you got to empty yourself to some degree. You got to give a bit of that effort to some degree, and then wait for things to unveil, wait for things to reveal as your journey goes on. Maybe you get detoured, and that's happened to me. I've been detoured. I was supposed to be an engineer because I had a brain that would allow me to memorize certain mathematical things. But as I mentioned in the other lives, my math foundation was severely lacking. Do I regret that I'm not an engineer on one level? Okay. Is there a sense of failure? Sure. I didn't get that engineering degree I sought. Oh well. But life would have it such that there were other things I was able to obtain. I don't put in the... So going back to the ex I referred to, she was trying to get me to be goal-oriented, as if I wasn't. Maybe not in the form Maybe not in the form she was looking for. Sorry, I don't do vision boards. I'm not that so wed to my goals that I treat things in such a way that if I don't get them, my life's over, that there's no meaning to my life. And if I give my mom credit anything, she always gave me these little phrases, and my dad did the same. I can't. You can learn anywhere. Yeah, I kind of took it and twisted it and ran with it. My mom always told me to be resourceful. Okay, I'm going to take it, twist it, and run with it. So that's what I did. I took whatever advice my parents were willing to hand me, and I ran with it. It allowed me to make my life meaningful, even though I didn't achieve X, Y, or Z. Part of navigating your calling in life is working with what's presented in front of you. I think that's a recurring theme, at least in this life, is work with what's already on your plate. And the funny thing, I haven't brought this up to the high schoolers that help teach, but your plate is always negotiable. And at times, yes, we'll trade one plate for another. But that's all you're doing. It's almost as though, well, what's wrong with the plate that you're already given? You work with what you got. And so where I'm at in terms of navigating my calling, and in some ways, were there dynamics working against me? Certain ways? Sure. When I was doing PC servicing back in 2000 or 2001, 2002, sure. Were there things that could have been in place where that would have made me continue that? Sure. But I didn't know any better. It's like what the Kung Fu genius Alex Richter said. He may have had the passion for the craft, but there was the business side of it. The business aspect that would make it sustainable and profitable and allow it to be your source of income. Were there things I could have done to enable my PC servicing venture to be something I could have had in the last 20 years? Probably. But, there is that sense of paper chasing I didn't look forward to, because that meant I needed to get this and that certification, as I mentioned in my last live. Now, is there something where I need to improve my knowledge base? And that's why I'm doing the path I'm doing. That's why I've embarked on this path, where at least what my sister mentioned in pushing back against why my sister didn't get a master's, in that she mentioned something to me or to my mom, and I heard it while, quote, eavesdropping, that in other words, school has taught me how to learn. And that's stuck with me for the longest time. For as long as I can remember, it's stuck with me. So in other words, I have the pieces and the foundation in front of me, and I learned this in my call center career because I would go from contract to contract learning different skills, different forms, different flowers, different ways of doing the common thing of diagnosing and resolving issues. It didn't matter if we're talking computers, if we were talking tablets, if we're talking bookkeeping software, if it mattered, if it was talking about cash registers, iPods dubbed as cash registers. It didn't matter. I learned the root skills, and those are things I will take with me, and I've taken with me. Or when I was at the last job I was at, the last company, learning sales operations, learning marketing, they all have a feature of problem solving. And so that's why I think in terms of what I've been embarking on is this is the way I navigate my ultimate calling. I think as far as where I'm at within the assembly of people to whom I belong and perform service for. Will that mean my full time calling? I don't know yet. I kind of still like being part of the world and, of course, not belonging to it, not being so balled and chained to the rest of the age, if you will. And so part of that is learning how to navigate my educational process and my occupational. It doesn't hurt to be in a state of flux. It doesn't. It just proves a sense of adaptability. And that's one thing I can give credit to the way I've experienced life. And I'm probably not one to settle, at least not anytime soon. I don't feel like I I need to be stable in one place. It helps, and that's a great luxury to have. But where I'm at, part of navigating your call is just work what's in front of you. Work until you don't have that job anymore, and then see where the door is taking you. Because as one door closes, like what happened a few weeks ago now, it's opening another. All right, guys, I think I've gone on enough, and I appreciate and like I said, I'll probably put my PayPal info where if you feel like you want to donate. I don't know how serious you are about doing that, but I'll wish you guys a peace, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your day and a good week. And for those celebrating, happy Halloween. I may be doing something there as well. Okay, catch you all until the next one.